Hello and welcome to another episode of DCU Daily. So today we have a lot of Batman stuff today. A lot of Batman stuff. We're going to be talking about that. Zoe Kravitz had some things to say when she was talking about her new film, and then we're also going to maybe talk about a little bit of Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They apparently are having some problems with Sony, so everyone's like, maybe they need to, start coming over to the DC side of things. So we'll be talking about that, and then less news and more of a personal affiliation with it. I am greatly admire the Justice League Mortal film that never got to see the light of day from George Miller. Apparently, some new behind the scenes photos from that did get released. And with me today, I have Bridget. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, John. How are you?
I could be, a little bit better, but I think we'll all survive. But for the first thing that I
Hopefully.
wanted so the first thing that I wanted to talk about today was in fact Batman stuff because, who doesn't love
Yes.
good Batman stuff?
Yes.
So we got some news from Zoe Kravitz. She, I believe, was doing an interview for her newest film, Blink Twice, which we did talk about on the Oh So Curious show yesterday, and
Right.
how
Yes.
she wasn't sure about, about coming back as Catwoman. She said, he goes into a hole. He kind of, he's kind of like Stephen King. He kind of secludes himself for God knows how long, writes an entire thing, and then writes an entire script and then just
Yes.
kind of doesn't really talk to anybody. That kind of fits with what we have been saying. And so she hasn't, gotten a call yet, but she's obviously very busy with her new film starring Channing Tatum. So I don't
hmm
know. I'm just curious to know your thoughts about this in terms of the Batman Part 2. Do you think she is actually returning to the film, or do you think they're going to probably leave her out because her story seemed kind of done by the end of the first film?
That's a good question. I did watch a little bit of the interview that she had talking about the film, and they kind of asked her, like, you know, what would you think about your character in the next film if she does make an appearance? And she kind of talked about in the first film, feeling like it was a bit of the origin story for Catwoman.
Right.
And I do think that she will make some sort of appearance in this. It's hard to imagine that she won't like be in it at all. So I do imagine that Matt Reeves will write something for her, but it does sound like she's just as in the dark as the rest of us. No spoilers for anyone, not even the actors at the
Right.
top.
Of
So
course.
it did. She made it sound like she's doing these films here and there. She's been working on this. She was did Blink twice, and she's like, I'm just kind of working on this for now until I get that call. So it sounds like she's ready if the
Hmm.
opportunity does present itself. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she's hoping to probably be a part of the next film.
Yeah, I think when it comes to her, I think there's not really a I can't imagine there's a big part for her in the film because she was going to Bloodhaven at the end of the first movie. They were
Yeah.
going in different directions. They were separating. Batman was becoming more like dignified, a little more hopeful, less becoming vengeance and more becoming what he needs to be for Gotham. He can't just be a
hmm
scary monster in the shadows. He needs to be there for the people. And that's
Right.
very not like what Catwoman is. So I can't imagine
Yeah.
her
It is
like
tough.
having like a big role in that. The only thing I could really think of is maybe in a third, because I mean it is the Batman epic crime saga now. So the main thing I could think of is like maybe she comes back in a third movie, and she becomes more like the
Just kind of,
devil on his
yeah.
shoulder kind of thing, where he's fully like the second film will be like the you know the him like maybe being the darkest he possibly could, like in terms of like character, not the actual character but like the arc, where he's like
Right.
trying to be hopeful, he's trying to like be more dignified, but it's just not like working. Maybe like the
Working.
villain is doing something, maybe, who knows. And then like by like the second half of the movie, he's like finally becoming like this hopeful sort of like more human character where he's like in touch with his like emotions. Bruce Wayne becomes more of a figure and all of that. And then in the third movie, he finally becomes like this hopeful hero that Batman can be for the people of Gotham. And then like Catwoman comes back to into his life and she starts like messing shit up and she's like more, like, the cat burglar she is and like being more of
Right.
like a villainous like influence to him. So I think that could be like a really good like arc for them in like a like something beyond the second movie. I can't imagine them
Right.
doing a second film with her outside of maybe a cameo at best. Like
Right.
maybe Batman, like, I need to find out more about this villain and it's something tied to
Needs
Bloodhaven. I
a
have a
ring up.
contact in
Mhm.
Bloodhaven, and then you see her for like two
Yeah.
seconds, and then
Yeah.
that's kind of it. I can imagine them doing that, but I can't imagine she has that big of a part, as well as the fact that
Right.
the first movie, the Batman, had like a lot of characters. Like you had Carmine Falcone, you had the Riddler, you had her, and you had the Penguin. There was a lot there, and
Yeah.
I would like for the sequel to be more so slimmed down. Maybe like I would like if I know everyone wants to see like Court of Owls and stuff like that, and I know people have teased like Clayface and Professor Pig. I would
Mhm.
love to like have it be like Hugo Strange or like the Mad Hatter or like something
Mm.
like that, like just something like kind of different. And I feel like
Yeah, not the what we're used to all the time.
like because I mean people have joked. I think Kat said it last week where she was like, "Yeah, how could nobody see that this guy and Batman are clearly the same fucking guy? Both are fucking like emos who don't talk to people. How can you like not see that?" So I
Yeah,
think
pretty much.
I think like maybe you have like because the whole thing with Hugo Strange finds out who Bruce Wayne and Batman are, like they're one and the same, and like uses it for like leverage against
Right.
him, and like there's like a
This is
whole like
secret.
arc with that, and I think that could be really interesting. Like he finally like becomes something greater, and then oh no, Hugo Strange comes in and like fucking ruins everything. So I think that could be good, but I can't imagine Catwoman having like a
A huge,
super
yeah.
duper big role kind of thing. But that's just
Yeah.
me. I'm curious if you agree or like you're like no, I think she can have a bigger role.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it kind of going either way. I think what you say makes a lot of sense, especially if they are setting up a third movie. Yeah, it would make more sense, I think, to focus on Batman and what he's going through, and yeah, seeing his arc more. It's a lot easier when there's, as you said, when there's so many characters at once, it can be hard to really give them that time. But if they can really focus in on that in the sequel, and then set that up for the third, where she kind of will come in later and be that saving grace, I think that would be great because then we'll be ready for her again.
Right.
Because yeah, I mean, she was pretty big in the first, but I could also see her, yeah, as you said, probably not a huge role, but something a little dependent to the plot, maybe a little bit, if
Right.
anything.
Yeah, I just think I don't know if she just like I think like I would like to see her again because I think like Zoe Kravitz had
Yeah,
something there that we couldn't really see a lot of because again there
right,
were so many characters. So I would like to see
right.
more of her, but just like
I think that's
again
what I
have it
feel too. Yeah.
have it serve the plot properly and not just like stick it in there like oh yeah remember this character from the last
Oh,
movie, got
right,
to remind her that she still exists, remind the audience she still exists. So yeah
right.
I
Because
think
I know that
yeah
I would like to see more of her, but yeah, I think if they could set it up in the future in some way where we really can get more of that and in the relationship, that I think that would be great.
Yeah, I think what would be really good is like kind of go with my idea a little bit. Like we don't see her
Mhm.
in the Batman 2, we see her in the
And then by
Batman
the time,
3,
yeah,
and
and then
then we'll get like a spin-off or something like the Penguin. We'll get like
yeah,
her
yeah,
adventures in like Bloodhaven or some other
that would
or
be,
maybe she
yeah,
like
I think
globe trots around the world or something like that. That could be a really cool idea because I know she's done that in the past. So that could be really
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Um
that's a good idea, and that's good too
yeah.
because then we don't get too sick of the same character either.
Right, exactly. Because I mean, even though even though Bruce Timm doesn't agree, Batman's rogue gallery is just innately like interesting and so vast that it's like we have so many characters that we haven't seen. Like, I mean, we've gotten Joker, we've gotten Penguin, we've gotten Riddler a bunch of times. Give us somebody new. Give us something like
Mhm.
I'd love to see Black Mask. I think Black Mask could fit. Court of Owls, I think, would be a
Yeah.
really good two-parter. Like Batman 3 and
Mhm.
4 is caters to like Court of Owls. Because that
Yeah.
storyline deserves some respect. And I
Right.
think and stuff like that. So I do think there are, again, epic crime saga. We have apparently they're planning something huge, and they want to focus on marquee characters, as we've talked about a couple times in the past.
Yes.
How they didn't want to do Gotham Central, they didn't want to do Arkham. They're like, we got to focus on the marquee characters. Hence why we got the Penguin. And so, like, okay,
Mhm.
Catwoman could join that. I mean, Mike Flanagan, call him up there. Clearly, he's buddy with Peter Safran at the Olympic Games. Get him to finally do that
Yeah.
Clayface movie that we were promised and
Yeah.
then didn't get. So,
Yes.
I would love to see any of that. But
Yeah.
but we still have more Batman 2 news. This time
Yes.
from the writer of the film. You probably saw from the headliner down below, but Mattson Tomlin did confirm that they are shooting next year, which we did get a report of, I believe, a couple weeks ago, how they are going to be shooting in 2025. But he says here it's shooting next year. We're gearing up. And I will say that the bar just couldn't be higher. Matt Reeves is like no other. He is a true artist who is operating in a world where sometimes art doesn't get to flourish. I can't help but agree, because it
Mhm.
seems like, it's more about like getting money and not really caring about the artist, and more
Yeah,
about
I know.
not even the art, it's more about the product and like consume next
Right.
product, that kind of thing, which
Right. Not
is
about
a
the
little
actual
bit
substance.
disconcerting. And there was a full article here detailing more about what he was saying. Um, we get a bigger quote. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like he's trying to make something that really matters. So to be able to be a part of the ride and be a part of that process, it's pretty unbelievable, pretty tremendous. I'm psyched for the movie. So yeah, it's very fun that we're getting this sort of thing, because I
Yeah.
believe I'm really curious with what Mattson Tomlin has to bring, because I don't think he worked on the previous movie, if I remember correctly. I'm probably getting that wrong, but I think yes.
Gee, I'm
Okay,
not sure.
I was okay. So yes, he was an uncredited writer. He did some script revisions, but now he's fully
Okay.
fledged co-writing the movie,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
he does have an upcoming project this year, Terminator Zero, which is like an anime series that's going to take place like right before 1997, which is Judgment Day. And so it's going to take place in the 90s. They're developing another AI system that's going to rival Skynet, and that could possibly take over. And it's going to be in like an
Mhm.
anime style. So I'm pretty stoked for that. That looks really interesting. And so Mattson
Yeah.
Tomlin, he's the showrunner. He wrote that, and it's going to have like a stacked cast. It's got Timothy Olyphant, Andre Holland, Rosario Dawson, and Dowd, whole bunch of people. So it definitely, that looks like a fun time. So hopes to Mattson Tomlin that that's really good. So then people get even more excited for Batman Part Two. Um,
Right.
but yeah, enough about Terminator. But yeah, I think I think it's just comes from the fact that we had the strikes, we had, all that stuff that was kind of stopping this, but at the same time, I think Matt Reeves just really wants to make sure, because usually when it comes to a sequel, it's usually not as great. Rarely do we get a Godfather Part 2 or an Empire Strikes Back or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Or
he
Shrek
wants to,
too.
yes, most definitely. Um, I think he just wants to make sure that this is like the best possible movie
Yeah.
that, we can really
Hope
get.
for.
So with Mattson Tomlin's comments. I know he has to say this because he's obviously not going to come out and say, yeah, the script fucking blows. I wrote it
Right.
myself and it sucks. Like, obviously he's not going to say that. But does this have
Right.
you a little bit more hyped for the movie? Has
Oh
this
yeah,
hyped
totally.
maybe even for his own series with Terminator Zero? You hyped for all of this or none of it? Or I'm curious
Yeah,
what your thoughts
honestly,
are.
I mean, I think just with everything that's been going on lately, and as we've talked about in the past as well, with like superhero fatigue, I do think the biggest issue with that is a lack of ingenuity and real creativity, and all about the bottom dollar, just getting people in seats. But I feel like that that whole machine that was going, especially with Marvel and stuff. I think people have caught on. People aren't, we're not stupid as they think. So I think people are really, at least I am, I'm really craving like some good stuff in the theaters. And I get really excited just to hear someone say, just to even acknowledge that, like, this is an industry where, believe it or not, art doesn't always flourish. Or that's not even the bottom line most of the time. Like, even being on set, you can see it's like you don't get all the time in the world to do as many takes as you want. Sometimes it's all about time and money, and that's it. And so
Right.
it's difficult, but it's a balancing act. And just to hear him say, he's taking his time, and he's actually gonna, he's not just gonna flush this out just because
Right.
he can. He's actually putting the time and the
Some
effort
type of
into it.
money into it. Yeah,
That's
he's
just
not
exciting to
monies,
hear.
but in terms of
Right,
yeah, no, I fully agree. I
right.
think
His brain power.
yeah, his brain
It's
power,
it
his
shows that he
creative
cares.
flourishes. Exactly.
And when I
And
see someone else care, then I care,
yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
even though I didn't love the first movie, it's clear like, okay, this dude has a vision and like it
Right.
still gives us I know like a lot of people complain like, oh, it's just the Nolan verse again. But I feel like there's more to it than that. Yeah, it's easy to do like, oh, I'm gonna do a realistic Batman, but I think it's a little bit more than that. I think like again, it's still different visions you're taking from different sources. I mean, when I was excited when Matt Reeves was naming the inspirations for the movie and fucking Dark Knight Returns didn't get brought up, and I'm like, thank
Ugh,
God. Like, I know Dark Knight Returns, greatest Batman comic of all time, blah blah blah, all that dumb shit.
right.
And no, it was like Batman Ego was one, which is a very like kind of, I wouldn't say underrated, but like kind of a little bit
Like
more underground
underground,
by
yeah.
from Darwin Cook, R.I.P. But yeah, I think like stuff like that makes me excited. But I did want to show off some
Huh.
comments a little bit. Mario Faith Warrior said, "What about Professor Pig as the next villain?" I wouldn't mind seeing Professor Pig. I think that would be a really kind of like a darkly humorous villain.
Mhm.
But the problem is, I think he would be. I wouldn't want it to just be another serial killer because that was the thing about the Riddler. The Riddler. I didn't love what they did with him. He was more Mad Hatter than Riddler, and I feel like he
Yeah.
was just kind of the Zodiac killer, but the Riddler. And I want them to steer away from serial killer stuff. And I think Professor Pig would just kind of fall into that a little bit, unless they do something very different with
Yeah.
him. Um, but
Yeah. You're kind of
I
right.
think, yeah. I'm curious. Do you know who Professor Pig is? Because that's kind of a
I've
little bit of a
seen.
deep cut.
Yes, I have. I think I know. It's the guy with the pig mask.
Yes. Yeah, he's
Um,
essentially like a
he's like a
surgeon
gangster.
serial killer type of thing. But yeah, again, I know there's heavy gangster themes, but I think Black Mask could be fun. I think Clayface could be
Yeah.
really interesting, but only if they actually make him out of clay. Because I know this is the more realistic
Yeah.
universe, and people will be like, oh, it's just going to be like original Clayface where he just wore a mask and killed people on a movie set. But I'm like, if they actually make him a clay monster, I wouldn't mind like seeing more like
Yeah. I think that'd be so
monstrous
cool.
looking characters, like because Joker looks so fucked up. Like he doesn't look like a guy who fell into acid. Like he looks like he has like a genetic mutation. I think that could open the door.
Right.
Like maybe like there's like a Gotham like thing attributed to Gotham where it's like maybe there were experiments or maybe there were like they're got like genetic mutations because of like something was in the water for years and people got mutated.
Yeah.
I think you could do like
Yeah.
Killer Croc, Clayface. You could do like some really like weird sort of stuff with
Yeah.
that.
It's like all
So I
related to
think that
that
could be fun.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
But
it's really cool.
yeah, the Watcher was also saying kind of a long comment, but Batman Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He wants 5 movies. Catwoman, Penguin, Clayface, Joker spinoff, maybe a
Yes.
Batgirl spinoff comes
Ooh,
into play.
yeah.
Also, instead of Harley, Matt Reeves should do Punchline instead of Harley for this. I'm all for that because too much Harley. We've gotten way too much Harley. Give us
Yeah.
Punchline now, because even though I
Yeah.
have not read a lick of Punchline, I'm sure she's way better than Harley because I'm sick of Harley Quinn. But outside of that, yeah, I think there's a lot of potential
Yeah.
for Batman Part 2.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I'm excited for it, even though I shouldn't be too excited because I got really excited for the first movie, and then the sequel and then I was kind of disappointed. But hopefully the sequel kind of
Yes.
delivers a little bit more than, as long as you got my Matt. Matt, if you're watching this, I know you're not watching this, but if you're watching this, just please, for the love of God, get Michael Giacchino back for the score, for the music. Please, that was easily the best part of the movie. But in terms of going to the other side, a little bit of Marvel, but don't worry, it's going to go back to DC. It is called DCU Daily. But apparently, Phil Lord and Chris Miller Sony deal is set to expire soon. And they've been having a lot of clashes with the upcoming Spider-Man Noir TV series that's supposed to star Nicolas Cage. And it's going to be live action. They said it's going to be live action, so I'm really intrigued about that. But apparently there has been some creative differences, and because of that, Sony is probably not going to be renegotiating their contracts. So people are like, Phil, Chris, these Marvel screw ups, they're screwing over. Why do you come? Why do you get blue pilled? Enough with the Marvel with the red. Get blue pilled.
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come over to our side. So this isn't really like major DC news. It's more so bringing in the idea of like, what would you want to see from these guys? Because I love Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I think most of their movies and shows have been really good. I wish we could have seen their solo movie. Probably would have been better than what we got. But I think I mean, I love the Jump Street movies. I love the
Yep.
Lego movie. I didn't
Yes.
totally love Last Man on Earth, but it did have some like ideas that were pretty good. Overall wasn't a great show, but I think it had some good stuff. And then I think they didn't direct them, but they produced and I believe wrote the Spider-Verse movie. So I think they're extremely talented. Like, give these guys another goddamn movie, another show. And with that, personally, I would love to see them do like, you know, Plastic Man or something, or I would love to see them do Booster Gold. Like they're probably going to get booted from Spider-Man Noir, and James Gunn's probably like, "Oh, do you guys want another TV show?" Well, I got this like a Booster Gold TV show, and apparently, according to sources, Danny McBride and the other writers from Righteous Gemstones, that kind of fell apart. So they're in need of some writers, they're in need of some showrunners, and there's still some time to greenlight them. So I'm like, guys,
Yeah, you're right.
let's get them for Booster Gold. Now, considering they have done more than just comedy, but from what about them, what do you think? Do you have a character in mind for these guys to like be a part of or anything like that? Or just like let them go free roam, do whatever they want?
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, I'll admit I'm not as well versed on every superhero character in the DC universe, and it's hard to know because, as you said, from what they've done, it is more comedic, so it would have to be something that really kind of fits, I think, with
Right.
with that, and which they can do. I mean, yeah, nobody off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I
That's
I, I
okay.
would definitely
Like,
be I
no
would be
pressure. No
excited.
pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. Like actually one of my favorite comics growing up was like Black Canary. So I feel like if they did anything Black Canary, I would love that. But
Ooh, that could be interesting. She's more like a darker, well, not dark, super
I
dark
know,
character, but she's
but yeah,
more
she
like
is.
I think that because I would love to also see them not just do comedy. Like, yeah, I would love to see them do like Plastic Man or Booster Gold, but I think
Yeah,
them doing like kind of because they were kind of stretching their toes a little bit with Solo because a lot of people thought it was going to be a comedy movie, but actually what they want to do, they wanted to have it be like a gritty, like underground Star Wars movie, but but just due to creative differences, they were just booted in favor of someone safe like Ron Howard, who they had worked with before. So it
yeah,
is a bit unfortunate
right.
with that, but I would like to see them comedy, yes, would be great. Like an easy would be Booster Gold. But I would
Or
like to see them do like maybe something
yeah.
maybe that maybe even Teen Titans. Teen
I was
Titans
just
could be
gonna
fun.
say, like, I feel like I used to like my little sister loved Teen Titans Go, so I just like
Right.
seeing anything with like Beast Boy, if they could like that would be so funny, I feel like.
Cause and
Yeah.
I think that that would be a good grab bag of characters because there's not just like comedy characters here,
Yeah.
there's darker characters.
Like
Like
Raven.
or like have like like a feature film of like Doom Patrol. I think Doom Patrol could be really fun for them, like especially if you get into like the more surreal aspects. But like a
Yeah.
group of people like Teen Titans or Doom Patrol could be a lot of fun
Yeah, we have
because
like a
they could
bunch
really
of characters, yeah,
lot
playing
of
off one
weird
another.
characters to like work off one another. I think that could be really cool for them. I would love to see
Yeah.
them really stretch those limits um, for that because I
Yeah.
think I just want to see them like break out of this box. They do have an upcoming movie, Project Hail Mary. I believe it's coming out in a couple of years. It's coming out in 2026. It's got Ryan Gosling, Miranda Vaintrub, and Sandra Hüller. It's about a
Oh, I
astronaut
love
who's
her.
tasked with saving humanity. I don't know if it's going to be a comedy. It just says it's a sci-fi film and it's going to be based on an Andy Weir novel who famously did the Book of the Martian, which was a great film. So hopefully
Right.
they're going to stretch their muscles there a little bit with science, some
Yeah.
more science
Sci-fi.
fiction. But
Yeah.
they, I think they've done enough greatness in whether they're directors, producers, writers. I think they have enough to their catalog that they can do. Like they literally did the Jump Street movies, which is like some of the most ridiculous, dirtiest adult jokes in a movie. Yet then
Yeah.
they turn around and then they do the Lego movie, which was one of the most
Right.
charming little
Like
movies like ever,
family
and it was so cute.
friendly. And all
And
the
then they
jokes were
wanted to
still really
do
funny.
oh yeah, and it was still like they nailed both aspects of the comedy. So
Yeah.
and then they tried to do like a more grittier Star Wars movie. They're doing like it seems like they're doing a heavy sci-fi movie. They've done, have done some comic book stuff with the Spider-Verse movies. Now,
Yeah.
depending on, if what counts, because I know people, oh, they only produced them or they only did this, but I still think that counts. They got the Oscar for it, all right? So like it's fine. So I think they have enough greatness under their belt where they can do pretty much anything. Like in terms of
Yeah.
projects that are
Yeah.
announced, Booster Gold or Teen Titans would probably be on like the top of the list. But in terms of like other
Yeah.
stuff, I
Yeah.
think like Plastic Man
Yeah.
is a big one. I know they keep saying, "Oh, let's get Darren Aronofsky for Plastic Man." In what fucking universe? Like, have you guys seen Noah? Have you guys seen Mother? Yeah, we want that guy to do Plastic Man. Makes no sense. But like
That's so
that's been a
random.
rumor for years. So get like guys who actually understand comedy to do, like Plastic Man or even like a show like get them to do like The Question. I
Yeah.
think that could be like stretch some stuff, but I would love to
Yeah.
see them. I would love to know your guys' thoughts. Maybe you guys think it's like the worst thing ever. They shouldn't do anything. They're gonna, ruin the entire, DCU if they do something. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on that. So, but we do have a little bit of something else. I wanted to talk about this. I really wanted to talk about this. And I'm like, Dan, please let me talk about this. He's like, fine. And so we almost got a Justice League movie, guys. Like I think like
Mm.
over 10 years ago, I think like over 15 years ago at this point, we
Wow.
almost got a Justice League movie directed by the great George Miller, who directed all of the Mad Max movies, also both of the
Mm-hmm.
Happy Feet movies, also Babe Pig in the City, Lorenzo's
Oh,
Oil, The Witches of East. Like, the man has an illustrious career of pretty much doing anything he wants. And if it wasn't for, the entire continent of Australia, I still blame you guys for that, and WB,
aw,
and the writer's strike,
fun.
we could have gotten this great movie. And so a lot of stuff has been coming out in terms of, this movie. We got like a bunch of concept art, I think, like around the time, maybe a couple years before the Justice League movie came out in theaters, the Zack Snyder one that wasn't Zack Snyder.
Mhm.
And we got a whole bunch of pictures of, like, in concept art and like Blender animation of like DJ Katrona as Superman, Army Hammer as Batman. We got some
Mhm.
stuff from Common as Green Lantern, and we got some superhero stuff from the Flash. And apparently, and a lot of people didn't know if Hugh Keys-Byrne actually did did makeup tests, but apparently, according to these pictures, he did. Now, this is the
Right.
famous image of the Justice League. They weren't sure if that was Hugh Keys-Byrne or not, because all the other actors, with the exception of Megan Gale, were all like models or stunt actors who weren't the
Right.
actual actors. But
Stand-ins.
yes, stand-ins. Yes, thank you. But apparently he did do a makeup test, and this is what he was going. I know he looks a little bit big. Hugh Keys-Byrne was a big guy. He was a big man, a little chunky. But you know what? I think it looks great, and I think this movie could have been so good. I've read the script. It's on the internet. Like, I highly recommend watching it. It combines a whole bunch of aspects. Like, it mostly adapts the famous JLA Tower of Babel storyline, where
Mhm.
somebody takes advantage of Batman's files he has on the Justice League of everyone's weaknesses, and uses that against the Justice League. So, like, they have to like figure it out. There's also like a little bit of, there's a little bit of Crisis on Infinite Earths influence. There's a little bit of Kingdom Come influence, a little bit. And the entire movie would have taken place like over the course of like one day, and like all of them would have been suited up. All of them would have been suited up. There was like next to no like alter egos or secret identities throughout the whole movie. They all would have been like suited up for the entire thing, and I think it would have been great. I'm curious to know everyone
Yeah.
else's thoughts on this, because I think I think it would have been really, really fun.
Yeah. Gosh, such a
And it's
shame
like,
with the strike.
yeah, the strikes, and and Australia being dickheads. I'm just kidding. Not Australia. The Australian Film Commission, I think they were called, their committee or whatever. They
They're
were like
quite
they
strict,
literally
yes.
said there's not enough Australian people working on this movie, even though you had 3 actors in the movie and the entire crew was Australian. They're like, no. And so they denied the tax rebate. So Warner Brothers had to pull them out of Australia from
Yeah.
filming. And then the strikes didn't help. And then obviously, like, Dark Knight just absolutely killed it,
Just
because
took off.
let's
Yeah.
focus on standalone stuff instead of like, this awesome. Like, I'm sorry, I know people are like, oh, he looks a little big, and I think he does look a little bit big. He was a big guy, but like, I think the suit itself, like the makeup,
Yeah.
aesthetics
He
look
still looks
really,
like very
yeah,
cool. Yeah. I
yeah.
think it
I'm curious
looks
to know your thoughts on this.
awesome.
Like, someone who doesn't know a lot about this, because I love reading about canceled movies. They're just fascinating to me. So I'm curious to know
Yeah.
your thoughts about, Justice
Yeah.
League Moral, about what we could have gotten. I'm really curious.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, just seeing him transformed is like, wow, just obviously really cool. And he really, I don't know much about the character, so maybe he is a
Mhm.
little bit, thinner, but I still think with the painted on abs and everything, he looks strong. He looks, very intimidating. And I feel like it would have been really cool just to see them all as their group, you know, in that storyline too. Sounds like, very intriguing. I'm sure it
Yeah.
would have been good.
Um, Josh leaving a bunch of great comments. Thank you, Josh. These suits look amazing. I agree.
Yeah.
Like, The Flash
Yeah,
suit just looks fucking kino. Like that looks so good. I would say the Green
yeah,
Lantern, Flash suit, those look the best. Like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman look pretty good. Aquaman looks okay, but like I still think like if
yeah.
we got like a fucking 2 hour movie of all these guys,
Yeah,
it
I mean,
would have been so good.
yeah, just the stills make it look like, "Oh, I wanna watch this."
Oh yeah. Like it just damn, that
Which is a
looks really
shame that
cool.
there's nothing to watch. So,
Yeah, I mean there's
yeah.
somebody tried to get a documentary off the ground a couple years ago, but that
Mm,
never went
yeah.
anywhere. Even the documentary got canceled. Um, but yeah, I think
They're like,
nothing you can do
yeah,
about this. And
yeah,
somebody even Lenny said that's why I think it should be the second Justice League movie in the DCU. I wouldn't mind seeing like just straight up get the script, maybe rewrite a couple things.
right.
Um, I think
I
and
mean,
somebody also said in
yeah.
terms of the last thing, by the way, um, I think it was the Watcher that said, "Oh hey, they should do Nightwing, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. That would be awesome. I would love to see them do Nightwing. Anything with the Bat family, I think they could do really well as well." But yeah, Justice League Mortal was just a really cool idea. And so if anybody who doesn't know, by the way, if you don't know the cast of this, because again, I just love talking about this. I know I'm kind of nerding out over this, but I know I nerd out over a lot of stuff, but like this especially because it's just like I read the script, I saw the concept art, I'm like, this is a bit fucking cool.
You're
So it was supposed to
invested.
be DJ Catrona was supposed to be Superman. He eventually played the alternate Pedro Pena in Shazam, like the superhero version of him. So he did eventually play
Mhm.
the character, a character, like a strong character. And then Army Hammer was Batman. Pre cannibalism, I think he could have done a good job with that. It would have been, I think that would have been really interesting.
Oh
But
boy.
now I think that's
No,
a little bit too awkward.
yeah.
Megan Gale was Wonder Woman. She's an Australian model and actress. She was in Mad Max
Mhm.
Fury Road for a little bit. And then
Yeah.
Common was supposed to be the John Stewart Green Lantern. Real interesting choice, but I think that would have been good. And
Yeah.
then Santiago Cabrera was supposed to be Aquaman. He was the captain of the ship in like Star Trek Picard. If Dan was here, he would know who I'm talking about. He's a big Star Trek nerd. So I think, yeah, he was in that. And then Hugh Keys-Byrne, who played Immortan Joe in Mad Max Fury Road, and Toe Cutter in the original Mad Max. He was Martian Manhunter. And then the villain was actually not because in the original comic, it was Ra's al Ghul, but in in the film, it was Maxwell Lord, played by Jay Baruchel, which would have been really interesting. Very different. He voiced Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon. He was in This Is the
Mhm.
End. Very weird choice, but I think that would have been really fun. And then Teresa Palmer was supposed to play Talia al Ghul. Zoe Kazan was supposed to play
Yeah.
Iris West Allen. Actually, just Iris Allen, not no hyphenated name in the script. She was Iris Allen, and then Adam Brody was supposed to be the Flash, as in the Barry Allen Flash. And he eventually played the superhero version of Freddy in the Shazam movies. And then Anton Yelchin was supposed to play Wally West. That would have been awesome. That would have been really
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, I think this was a well cast movie, well technical scale would have been awesome. I think this just could have been such a fun movie. Would have been way better than the either Justice League movie we got. I know people are going to be like, "What about
Mm.
the Zack Snyder's version?" Yeah, that movie was 4 hours and 5 hours too long. That took me like a
Yeah.
full work week to finish that movie. Like it was boring as hell,
Okay.
overblown. I'm sorry, I just did like it was the best out of any of the Zack Snyder DCEU movies. Don't get me wrong, like it was fine. Like it was perfectly serviceable, but everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Because it's the director's cut. We finally got his vision released. It wasn't that good. Calm down. But even then, I know I shit on Zack Snyder a lot. I
That's
apologize,
okay.
but yeah, there was but yeah, Justice League Mortal could have introduced something really uh really awesome, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
it just wasn't meant to be. It just wasn't meant to be. But the one thing that was added here, this shows, James Gunn posted this, Jennifer Holland on set of Peacemaker, just like a quick little thing. And just like them filming, it doesn't like show a lot. Like it just shows a guy in the background and just her on her phone, and just like a cute little behind the scenes photo that I wanted to mention. But yeah, that's just showing that they are still filming Peacemaker. They're probably, I don't think they're getting done with it. I think if I were to guess, they probably have like 2/3 of the movie done, or of the show done. What do you think, like in terms of that?
Yeah, that's probably a really good guess in the timeline.
Yeah. But yeah, just like, I don't know, just like, cute behind the scenes stuff. I know it doesn't really matter in the long run, but it's just showing like, hey, the DC universe is building. We're getting Creature Commandos in December. We're going to be getting Superman next July. We're going to get Peacemaker probably sometime after that. Probably going to get that in fall 2025. And then, Lanterns is greenlit. All that fun stuff. So yeah, so obviously get stoked for that. But we do have one more thing to do, and that's it. Talk about your comments, guys.
Yes. Never forget
So
the fan
we
comments.
did want to talk about the first comment we got from a regular, and that was Jay Kells. He was talking about how Tom King again. I will address. Don't worry, I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to read his comment and then address things. Jay Kells, if you're watching this, I want a discussion. I don't want to get angry. I don't want rants. Let's have a discussion like two adults. But he was saying this in regards to Tom King. Didn't think I would get called out for leaving, but I did, so I'm going to speak on it. I have been following these guys for a while. On one of the first live shows that I watched, this guy was hating on Tom King. That would be me. Initially, I had no issue because everything is subjective and everyone doesn't have to like Tom King. I just happen to be someone that loves his work. I think he is a great storyteller and writes DC characters on a graphic novel level. Anyways, this guy, as he was ranting, said that he didn't like Tom King because of a friend that he trusts told him that he hated Tom King. He went on to say that he only read one thing from Tom King and he liked it. Hence my distaste for his comments about Tom King. There is an online cult, that is what I like to call them, that have similar takes on King that also have not read his work, and they trigger me at times. That is all. So I would like to talk about this. So I want to clear the air. Clear the air. Jay, if you're watching this, please pay attention. I want to make sure you get everything so we can remain clear. If you like Tom King, that's cool. I got no problem with you liking Tom King, first off. Second of all, I like to go on rants because that brings in engagement and people like to see me yell. And people love to see people get angry. I'm rage baiting. People love to see it. I'm sorry if you don't like it. I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you. Second, that's the second thing. No, it's fine. I kind of am, not gonna lie. But so in terms of Tom King, in terms of the stuff I have read of him, I've read, I believe, three, kind of a fourth, kind of a fifth. So the things I've read, I have actually, in terms of the DC stuff I've read of him, I read Heroes in Crisis, which I actually own, by the way. My parents got this for me by accident because they're like, it has Superman on the cover. You like that, right? And I'm like, no, I actually really didn't like this comic. I didn't like this comic. I felt it was, I just felt it was very poorly written. I felt it was kind of disgraceful to Wally West. I felt that it was just kind of a lot of DC Universe kind of ego stroking a little bit. I didn't find it engaging. It was kind of boring. I didn't like the mystery. It just overall, I felt it was a very boring and unengaging story. Now, in terms of the other thing I read, Mr. Miracle, that kind of suffered similar problems. I really liked the art. Same with the Clay. I will say Clayman's art is excellent in this book. I will say, like, a lot of the stuff in this book is actually like really like nice. Like it's great art. Like I have nothing against the art of this book. It's very, very good. But I did want to say I also read Mr. Miracle. I didn't really care for that either. I felt it was kind of confusing, a little boring, and I felt overall it was unengaging. I did like the chemistry between Big Barda and Mr. Miracle Scott Free in that book. I thought it was pretty good, and certain aspects of the storyline were okay. That's probably the thing I liked the most. And then I also read, in terms of his Marvel stuff, I have read the Visions. This I felt was actually a very good. I haven't read the whole run. I only read what was in here. My friend, who you were talking about in the comment, got this for me. I finally read it. I thought it was very good. I think Tom King is a better Marvel writer than a DC writer because I've read Heroes in Crisis. I didn't care for that. Mr. Miracle was okay, not great. And then in terms of the fourth and fifth things I watch, I tried to read his Batman run. I could not get into it. I thought it did not understand the character of Batman. I did not like how the Selena Kyle Batman romance ended, the whole wedding thing. I felt that was very poorly written, and I read like snippets here and there. I know I can't judge the entire run. I understand that, but from what I read of it, I just didn't care for it. I just don't think he understood the character of Batman. And then after like the whole Selena Kyle thing, he spends like 50 issues crying about it, and it's just very like not actually 50 issues, but I just don't think Tom King understands DC characters as much as others think he does. But again, that's what I personally think. If people like Tom King, that's fine. I just don't understand like this greater admiration for him. Like if like a couple people liked him, like okay, yeah, but a lot of people seem to love him, and I simply don't get it. But I think it's just one thing I will never understand. I hope that he does a good job on Lanterns. I want that show to be good, but the fact that 66% of the executive producers on that I don't really care for. I have my reservations about it. So in terms of Tom King, if you like Tom King, that's fine. I personally don't, and I don't think he's a good DC writer. Again, that's just me. Oh, and I also tried to read Woman of Tomorrow. I read part of the first issue. I haven't finished yet. I do want to finish that because of the movie coming out. So I'll try to read that. I'll try to check back in next time and tell you my thoughts on it, see if I like that. But yeah, so wanted to clarify on Tom King. Jay, if you're watching this, again, I'm sorry that I keep going on rants, but I hope that clarifies everything for you. And I hope that clarifies for other people watching. So, and
Yeah.
we
And
still
to
have
each his
another
own.
to each his own. I don't want to yuck people's yum. It just and in terms of my
Right.
friend, I do trust him because he read the entirety of Batman's run. He is like the biggest comic expert I know, and I trust him with a lot of comic stuff. Pretty much anything he's given me, like he's like, this is really great. And everything he's given me is really great. And then he's like, this is all terrible. And the stuff I've read that he has not recommended that I wanted to read anyway has been terrible. So we're pretty much like on the same level. I
Mhm.
obviously, but he like his comic book collection like fills his entire attic. Like that dude, he reads comics like it's his job. So I trust him when it comes to a lot of comic stuff. And he read the entirety of the Batman run. He didn't like it. He read, I believe, his Booster Gold series. Didn't like that either. And I think there was something else Tom King did, Green Lantern related, that he also didn't like. Again, I can't say anything on those because I have not read them. Maybe they're amazing. Maybe my friend's an idiot, but I do trust him on a lot of stuff. And he is my friend. So, maybe I'm biased, but still, I did want to mention that as well. But we do have another comment. And that other comment is from My Dream in Orbit, who is another regular. Thank you for watching. He's like, I'm totally digging James Gunn's approach to the new DCU. Giving people time to do their jobs to the best of their ability will only increase the quality of these films. I'm glad to know that Supergirl and hopefully all future projects will have the time they need to deliver the best product possible. Like John, my one request for Gunn is to ease up on the use of licensed music. I want to hear an epic original soundtrack for Superman. Not to say I wouldn't like to hear Starman. I'll get to that in a minute. But after what Williams and Zimmer delivered, I need that level or close to that level of soundtrack. I, hard agree. Hard agree. I think James Gunn can do I would say in terms of licensed music, since it's part of Peacemaker's character with like glam metal and hard rock, stick to Peacemaker for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of, in terms of, Superman, I think um just stick to the big orchestral score, because you do have John Murphy on it, and John Murphy is such an exceptional talent. I would hate to have, his soundtrack overburdened with just like 70s and 80s rock hits,
Yeah.
and
It
because
loses
that's kind of what
the
happened for a
vibe.
lot. Yeah, it loses the vibe. Exactly. So I think I just uh I just think that Superman is like more than I would like to hear Starman. At some point, I would love to hear Starman. And I did mention on a previous DCU Daily, it is canonical to the comics that Superman is a metalhead that owns every CD of Metallica. So I do want to hear maybe one or two Metallica songs. But outside of that, I don't want to hear a ton of licensed music, because I think letting John Murphy's music speak for itself, I think, is like a major factor to this. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even mind the James Gunn-esque jokes. I wouldn't even mind that. Just give us a movie that isn't so reliant on licensed music. Not say licensed music can't be good, but the thing is, the reason it worked for Guardians is because that was part of Star-Lord's character, and
Right.
it
It was
works for
comedic.
Peacemaker. Yeah, the reason it works for Peacemaker is that it was part of that character as well. And
Right. There's
from
a
what I
place and a time.
remember, from maybe you can, remember this maybe better than me, but for the Suicide Squad, I don't remember a lot of licensed music in that movie. Maybe you remember it better than me, but I don't remember a lot of it. Do you remember anything from that?
I feel like there was. I could totally be misremembering, but I feel like
Yeah.
there was. Gosh, I should look that up. I'm actually not sure though. Don't
So
quote
Ray
me.
J365 said that there was a lot. Okay, I'll take your word for it, because it's been a
I
while
feel
since
like
I
I'm
saw
like,
that
right.
movie.
Yeah.
Been a while since I saw that movie, and Josh coming in
Yes.
with the Starman. We love some good
Oh,
David. With how
yes.
the
You
memes
know what?
are going, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but
You know what?
maybe.
I remember especially they played like the "You Don't Own Me." That one.
Yeah, I
It
think
was
that
like
might
a
have been
big theme
Birds of
song.
Prey. I don't remember, but I'm sure there was a lot. That's what Ray J says.
Yeah.
Although Josh says Mr. Blue Sky would be a great Superman song. I you know, I think that would be good, but again, I believe it was already used for Guardians too. So let's not use it again. Although Hunter Iggy
Yeah.
keeps spamming the chat about his comment. Don't worry, I got to you. We have one more comment, and he was saying something about another Wildstorm character, another Wildstorm team. He was saying, just getting his comment here, should the Wildcats come in chapter 2? I wouldn't mind seeing that. But considering the Wildcats, I think was a predecessor to the no, Stormwatch was a predecessor to the Authority. Wildcats is kind of like more like a Black Ops team, kind of like the Outsiders. I wouldn't mind seeing, like, I know Griefer is like a big fan favorite character, so I wouldn't mind seeing though the should the Wildcats come in chapter 2. So I wouldn't mind seeing it. I would like to see more DC stuff than Wildstorm stuff, but I could see it happening, and it could be like a fun addition. So, do you know anything about
Yeah.
Wildcats or no?
Um, not that much to talk about it. Yeah.
I think yeah, the big character is either Griefer or Grifter or something like that. But yeah, that could be fun. Nothing crazy, but yeah, I think but that kind of, does it for today, guys. I know I kind of went on a little bit of a crazy, Justice League Mortal rant, but that was just a movie I would have loved to have seen. But thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to like and comment and subscribe. Thank you for your comments. We had a lot of, regulars today. We had Ray J, Lenny, Hunter Iggy.
Hey guys,
We had
thanks for watching.
Miraculous and Manolo Rivera. The Watcher, you guys, although the Watcher, you retracted a lot of your comments. I hope that you weren't saying anything mean. Anyway, but Derpy also appeared. Mario Faith Warrior, you guys were all, we didn't get to every comment. I apologize. There's a lot of comments, but we appreciate them. We appreciate that to get,
Every single one.
So, we still love you guys. We still love, get that algorithm up and all that stuff. So, like, Thank you. We see your comments. We don't get to every single one, but we do see them and we appreciate them. So thank you for that. But make sure to like, make sure to, if you're watching after the live show, make sure to comment still, because then you could be featured on the next DCU Daily. And
Yeah,
guys, we keep getting a couple comments that like you don't know when we go live. I know we usually go live at 8, but like sometimes we change it up to keep you guys on your toes. But even then, make sure the notifications are on so you know when we go live. I know that's a little bit annoying. I know everyone says click the bell, but like a lot of you guys really like to see me ranting about dumb shit. So like if you want to see more of that and you want to know, get on top of that, then please click the notification bell.
And you won't miss a single second
of me ranting about how much I hate Tom King and how much I hate Damon Lindelof. So, but again, thank you for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow for another DCU Daily.
Thanks, guys.